Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on how innovative CPGs say yes to Amazon optimization, hosted by MyDigitalShelf and presented by PickFu and Mindful Goods on behalf of YesBar. My name's Sarah, and I'll be hosting this webinar for the next 45 minutes. And it's my pleasure to be joined by Daniela Bolzmann, who's the founder of Mindful Goods, and Kim Kohatsu, who's the Chief Marketing Officer at PickFu. Thank you both for joining us today as our guest speakers. This is a very relevant and current topic, so we're all excited to have you here with us. And for those of you that are listening in, feel free to pose your questions at any point using the control panel for our key speakers today, as we'll have some time at the end to answer the most interesting ones. And then just another quick reminder that you will receive the webinar recording and presentation tomorrow. You'll get an automated email from GoToWebinar with the recording that you can listen back to, and please feel free to share it with any colleagues or other associates in the industry that it may be of interest to. So thank you, Kim and Daniela, for joining us today. It's lovely to meet you both here. How are you doing?
Thank you for having us, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks everyone for joining. All right, let's go ahead and get started. As Sarah mentioned, our topic today is about innovative CPGs and what they're doing with Amazon optimization. This is a huge area of opportunity that I hope that this session will give you some ideas about how to improve upon your Amazon presence. So before we really dive in, I'd love to just get a sense of where everybody is in their Amazon optimization process. So we're going to do a quick poll asking what Amazon optimization methods you have tried. So Sarah's going to go ahead and launch that poll if you take a second to give it a vote. The options are A/B testing of live Amazon listings, A/B testing of Amazon ads, consumer surveys, none of the above, say what now? And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's completely fine. We are going to go over some of these methods today.
Thank you for that, Kim. It looks like we're getting a lot of votes in, so we'll just give it another 10 seconds for the final few attendees to give us their votes. Okay, so now I'm going to share the results with you. So there we have it. Quite a mix.
Yeah, so it looks like, about half of you either aren't doing any Amazon optimization or you're completely new to this idea of Amazon optimization. So I think this is going to be a great session for you. We will talk primarily about consumer surveys, but it is interesting to see that, you are doing at least some testing of your ads, maybe a little bit on your live Amazon listings, but most of you aren't doing any kind of optimization at all. And so, I think this session will be helpful to you. Daniela, any thoughts?
Likewise, I think even for the people who are doing some split testing, this will be a really fun isolated case study, and then we'll also show some other examples that maybe you guys haven't tested yet that could be fun to throw into a PickFu test in the future.
Okay, and I apologize, I just lost my my slide deck that was up.
No worries, we'll just show everyone the results again. It is really interesting, isn't it, to see that about 50% of our audience today have not yet tried anything.
Yeah, and just 7% have tested something on Amazon, an A/B test. So I'd be curious of the 7% if you were testing your main image, which is what we're going to mostly cover today, or if you were testing something else. So the main image is I think, one of the most under-optimized areas of Amazon. So it's interesting to dive deeper into that today.
Absolutely. We good to go, Kim?
Well, I have my screen up, Sarah, but GoToWebinar isn't giving me the ability to show it again. Okay, could you maybe just make me the presenter once more?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, yeah, so just some food for thought. I mean, online grocery sales in Q2 on Amazon tripled this year. And obviously that's been accelerated by COVID. And so, you know, this just underscores what a huge opportunity this is for large and small brands alike. So again, I mean, I think, you know, especially for the half of you who aren't currently doing any Amazon optimization, there's just a huge opportunity here. So Sarah introduced us quickly, but just to kind of go over what it is that we do, I'll just give you, you know, a couple of sentences about us. Actually, Daniela, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Daniela, the founder of Mindful Goods. We are a one-stop Amazon optimization shop, which basically means we help brands optimize their product pages and storefronts on Amazon so they can get found, get more clicks, and ultimately get more sales.
Great. And then I'm Kim Kohatsu. Are you seeing, by the way, the slides with our picture on it? Because I'm seeing something else.
I'm seeing something else. I'm seeing the year over year.
Okay. I don't know why we're having issues, but I'm going to stop. All right. How about now?
Now, yes, we're good.
Okay. All right, so this is where we are. So I am Kim Kohatsu. I do apologize for the technical issues, but I am CMO of PickFu. PickFu is an online service that makes market research really quick and easy. So all you have to do is you input a question on pickfu.com. You choose the shoppers that you want to answer it, and then in just a few minutes, you'll get 50 to 500 answers on demand. And this kind of research really will help you make database decisions to improve your Amazon listing and to do even more. And we'll share a bunch of ideas on how to do that in this session today. So with that, I'd like to start with a case study. And Daniela, if you would introduce us to the brand.
Sure. So jumping right into it, this was a really fun project that we were honored to work with an emerging brand called Yes Bar. It's a plant-based snack bar. Like I said, they are earlier stage, but they're in 1,500 stores. They have a great online presence and they have 6 flavors. So they're already selling on Amazon, and they came to us to optimize their pages. And we use PickFu for all of our optimization work, pretty much for every client we work with. And so this presented a unique opportunity that we're going to share with you today. And if we go and look at the challenge that this brand was facing. So they were already selling pretty well on Amazon. They had established themselves in the category. They had hit a plateau though. And we see this pretty commonly with brands that come to us and they got started selling on Amazon maybe when Amazon was a lot easier in their category. There's more competitors entering the marketplace. And so you get to a place where every detail starts to matter with your optimization. And that's where that's where Yes Bar was. They're also at a place where they're ready to reinvest and to do that in terms of ad spend. And usually you want to optimize your listings as much as you can before you turn on ad spend to reduce any wasted spend. And so the challenge for us was, how do we improve online sales and how do we make sure there's a really strong foundation with these listings? And so what we did here is we basically looked at the listing as a whole. And there was one glaring issue that we're going to spend time on sharing in this case study today. And while we did a full scope optimization work for this brand, this is a really fun and unique piece of the project where we spent a lot of time focused on the main image. And as I mentioned, I think this is one of the most underutilized areas for optimization. on Amazon, because you really have to look at Amazon as three things. One, it's a search engine. So have you focused on your SEO? Two, have you focused on when you do show up in search results to get people to come into your listing in terms of traffic and sessions? And then three, have you done a great job on optimizing your product pages to make them buy? And so when we look at these results here, I see a couple things they're doing right, and I see a couple things that they're doing wrong, or maybe that there's a huge area for opportunity is a better way to say it. And so this was a glaring area of focus for us. And so when you look at YesBar positioned in between two bestsellers with the bestseller badges, you can see all of the images around them look bright, crisp quality, high res, 3D renders almost. They're just popping off the page, and their size is almost twice that of YesBar. And so if you have too much space, like in the case of YesBar, or your image quality is not high enough, it's just not going to grab the eyeballs and attention that you need to get the maximum clicks that you could possibly be getting. So let us walk you through some of the examples that we put together here. So in this actual solution of what we are doing here, we're actually going into an ideation mode. And so this is not high fidelity, coming up with high res renders. This is sitting at a table and discussing, okay, what are the things that other competitors are doing in the space, and how can we maximize this image? And so we came up with two different options, and really the sky is the limit here. We've done tests where we've had 10 different variations that we've ran, but really for this one, we're like, okay, on this first option, what about showing individual packs? Would that help show value? Let's add a call out to show that there's 6 bars. And let's make sure that whatever we do, we're reducing the white space and maximizing the size of the close-up shot and the size of the packaging. And then for the second option, we said, why don't we just improve what they already have? And again, you'll notice we're not doing anything high fidelity. So on final renders, we might, let's say, blow up the text callouts that are on there showing the amount of fiber, or that it's vegan, or that it's grain-free. We might do other things in other rounds of iteration, but for now, we're just trying to say, what are the obvious things that need to change? And let's start there. And so if we take a look at this hypothesis, what is important to note here is the reason why we're using PickFu is because you don't want to just make sweeping changes to your listings, especially with a brand like YesBar that's already established in the marketplace. As you saw, they're positioned right between two bestsellers. We don't want to just go and start making all of these changes that don't have any data behind it. But if you do make the change on Amazon, it's going to take you a significant amount of time to validate those changes. So this is the biggest reason why we're using PickFu off of Amazon, so that we're not messing with Amazon's algorithm. We're being very sensitive to the fact that Amazon likes to be cautious with changes when you're already selling well. And so we're getting that data very quickly, in some cases less than 30 minutes on PickFu, making an iterative change, and then running another PickFu test. And once we have conclusive data and we're really confident in where we are with our images, then we'll go ahead and make the changes on Amazon.
Right. So what the heck is PickFu then? I mean, what is this way that we can get, kind of that confidence before we start messing around with our live listings? So, PickFu is basically an effortless way to test your ideas really quickly. And for those of you who are used to, kind of the traditional grocery brands, it's a really easy way to survey shoppers in your target market online. And especially now with COVID, we know that in-person sampling and focus groups just aren't happening. So, those sort of traditional methods of research just aren't available right now. And so this is a really quick way to do it all online. So the example that I'm going to show you is the actual test that Daniela ran. She asked 50 people within the age range of 25 and 44 which of those YesBar images that she just walked you through they preferred. So this is what the test looks like on PickFu. She asked the question, which snack bars would you buy? And then took those 3 images and posed it to these 50 respondents. So what results did she get? In exactly 45 minutes, 50 people came to the poll and ranked the 3 photos, and they provided explanations as to why they ranked them in this way. And pretty handily, it was option A, which you can see there, won the majority of votes. So 60%. 30 of the 50 respondents ranked it as their first choice, and 16 more ranked it as their second choice. So you can see that there was a lot of movement from the original image. So what was it about these iterations that people liked? The first thing is shoppers want to see the package. And so, these are direct quotes from the survey that she ran. So you can see people said things like, I feel like I can see the texture of the snack bar better and see the package much easier in option A. Option A, you can clearly see the package and the details, like 20 grams of nuts, so it's the most appealing. And option A is the cleanest. You can see the product big and up close. It clearly indicates that it contains 6 bars. So again, just going through the idea of filling the frame and showing the package and really kind of emphasizing the details, making use of all of the real estate you're given, I think is a really important tip that you can take away. Now, shoppers do want to know how many bars are in the pack, but they didn't like showing the 6 individual packs that option B did. So a lot of them, thought that it was cluttered. So again, some direct quotes. I don't need 6 packages to display 6. I know how many there are, and that's thanks to the badge that was added. I don't need to see the same container 6 times. It adds a lot of unnecessary clutter. I don't care for option B because there are too many packages in the picture, causing the picture to look cluttered. And then we also found that shoppers liked the original image, but they liked it less than the one that won because of all that white space. So again, direct quotes, option C is fine, but it's a little too far away to really get a sense of the product. Option A just does everything option C does better. And between options A and C, I prefer A because it has a better size ratio of cookies to packaging. I prefer option A to option C because there's less white space. So all of those things, help us understand not only, what image consumers prefer, but why they prefer it. And that is going to, help us improve these images even further. So as Daniela said, this is an iterative process. And so if you look at the original image, and then you look at the second image, which won the PickFu test, you can now go back to your designer and incorporate these things and perhaps pump them up even more. So you can see the final image that went online has a red badge instead of a blue badge to give it a little bit more prominence. The text on the package is bolder and even easier to read than it was before. So, it really is making a hypothesis, testing your hypothesis, then improving upon everything before you make those changes live on Amazon. So what happened? Well, the proof really is in the pudding. And as soon as Daniela did make that change live on Amazon, they let this test run for 2 weeks. And just with that one change, YesBar saw an 11.8% increase in their sessions. Now think about that, for whatever size brand you're working on, what would a 12% increase organic, unpaid traffic to your listing mean for you? Well, for YesBar, that one change alone, projections could increase their revenue by, $3,300. The cost of the PickFu test altogether was $85. So think about that. If you are a much bigger brand doing, tens of thousands of dollars of revenue, what would a 12% increase in sessions for you mean? And especially when you compare that with the cost of the PickFu test, which would still be $85 for you. So there's a lot of opportunity here to take these insights and improve what you're doing on Amazon. So the next question is really what is going on, behind the scenes? Like, what is this magic that happens with PickFu polls? Who's answering these polls? And, the answer is not just randos on the internet. The PickFu panel is comprised of thousands of people from all demographic backgrounds. Every single one of them is here in the US. They are paid a small stipend to participate in your poll. They are under NDA, and they are vetted using proprietary quality controls. We make sure we vet them, we know who they are, and we make sure that they take your poll seriously. So you can customize the makeup of your panel so that it reflects, your target customer base. So let's say you want to appeal to moms, or you want to appeal to coffee drinkers, or avid home cooks, or vegetarians, or gamers, or people who take nutritional supplements every day. These are all audiences available within PickFu. And I mentioned in the last slide that Daniela's poll cost $85. Basically, the price is based on how many people you poll and what targeting features you include. So in Daniela's case, she surveyed 50 people, which is the minimum, and then she used age targeting. She used 25 to 44. So you can poll up to 500 people at a time, and you can combine up to 4 different targeting parameters. So maybe you want to combine age and gender, or gender and income. Gender and Amazon Prime membership is another very popular segment. There's just tons of ways to customize according to your brand needs. So, Daniela talked about, that main image and how that's a huge area of opportunity, but there's other ways to use this research as well. So Daniela, why don't you walk us through some other examples from your clients?
Sure. I honestly feel like the main image is just scratching the surface of what you can do with testing. I mean, just in main images alone, we've identified 6 different types of what we call eye candy through testing on PickFu. So I think in all of these areas we're going to show you right now, you can go a little bit deeper and really think through what else could I be testing here. We've had a few different brands, not just YesBar, ask us random questions, and we say, you know what, we're one data point. Let's just throw it into PickFu and see. And this one here is one really great example of A+ content, which Amazon themselves say that just setting up your A+ content, and obviously it depends on the quality, right? But on average, it's in increasing conversion rates on listings by 5%. We've actually seen much higher rates than that. And again, I think that's due to the quality of what you're doing and using a tool like this to be testing with. And so here's 2 of the banners that we were thinking about using for A+ content. And if you don't know what A+ content is, it's essentially when you're on your Amazon product page and you scroll down and you see sometimes these really big banners that you can stack on top of each other to make it almost look like a landing page. That's A+ content. It's for brand registered brands with a trademark. And so we came up with these banner designs, and we loved both of them, and we just honestly didn't know which one to choose. The brand liked both of them. We threw them into PickFu, and there was a very clear winner. So testing out things like layouts and color schemes, headlines, and just generally understanding what it is the consumers are resonating with is what PickFu is so helpful for us. So quantitative and qualitative data. Now, this second example for packaging is actually a twofer. So while we know that 1/3 of decisions are being made based on packaging alone, this one was kind of interesting because when you decide what to show on your digital shelf, you have an option of showing photography or 3D renders, right? And technically 3D renders are not within compliance on Amazon, but I think that's a gray area, and I think it comes with intent, right? Are you aiding the shopper in their buying, or are you not? And in this case, the results are very clear, where we're able to test the brightness of an image. We're able to really get in-depth feedback from shoppers on what they like about the layout, if they like to be able to zoom in and see the shapes, and the orientation of the product. And the other thing that we can do with this is test the actual packaging itself. So we had a client recently that we ran a quick PickFu poll with, and we realized that 95% of shoppers had no idea what this product was. With one PickFu poll, we were able to basically improve it by 65%. And then the second PickFu poll that we ran, we were able to identify another 20% that we could increase it by just making one change to the image. So these are the kind of insights that you can get very clearly from PickFu. And then this next test is actually quite interesting. I don't know how many brands are doing this. I would say very few at this point. But there's 2 different ways that you can run this test. This one is the brand had 8 different, you know, benefits and features of what they consider to be important to their shoppers, and they just really didn't know how to prioritize them in terms of where to put them in the bullets and which ones were most important to shoppers. So we just dropped them into PickFu. Again, it probably took less than an hour, and the shoppers told us what was most important to them in the buying process. So we were able to build content around this copy. The other thing that we did with a similar test, just like this, is we took the actual link to an Amazon listing, dropped it into PickFu, and the shoppers actually told us what was missing from the listing. So that's just another idea that I'll throw in there for everyone. That's a fun one that we haven't really shared yet, that's coming out on PickFu's YouTube channel soon. But then this last one, it's also interesting to really see how you stack up against your competitors' packaging. And so this could happen before you're on Amazon or after you're on Amazon. You could essentially learn some insights and make incremental gains to your packaging or even to your digital renders to make certain callouts stand out based on what you're seeing in the marketplace. And again, learning from those consumer insights. So one pro tip when I'm using PickFu is that we go through every single comment from the respondents, and we bucket them and try to understand the trends in the language of what people are saying so that we can decide what's most important to tweak on the images. And so that's really just, again, scratching the surface. So I'll hand it back over to Kim.
Yeah, awesome. And, you know, I just want to reiterate just the idea of iteration. You know, this is an example of, you know, just how Daniela has run, you know, multiple tests on PickFu, just incrementally changing things and just making sure that the hypothesis is confirmed before doing, you know, a major change live on Amazon. You know, it's interesting too, you know, we have another client here at PickFu. Perhaps you guys have heard of a company called Thrasio. Thrasio, basically what it does is it goes out and it acquires and operates brands that that sell on Amazon. And, you know, Thrasio has told us that every creative change, especially visual changes, they don't do anything with their live listings until they do a test on PickFu. So, you know, as we said, you know, there's a lot that you can do with this research, not just, you know, that main image, although that's crucial, but also your you know, your lifestyle images, your A+ content, your description copy, your product names. I mean, there's so many things and so many areas that you can get confirmation on before you go into production, before you source products, before you launch your listing. So we have a few minutes before we move to Q&A. I would love to ask our second poll. So Sarah, if you would launch the next poll. I would just love to see how everybody is feeling. So the poll question is, has this presentation given you ideas on how to optimize your Amazon listings? So is it yes, and I'm excited to get started right away? Yes, but I'm not sure where to start, kind of, maybe, or meh, not really. And let us know. And then, you know, what we can do is, depending on where everybody is, you know, we can expand upon that in Q&A or answer any other questions that you have.
Say yes for Yes Bar.
Exactly. Say yes to Amazon optimization.
Well, there we go. I'll just share the results now.
Excellent.
All right. Fantastic. A quarter of people are ready to go and get started testing. It really is so easy. It's these tests, I mean, you just come up with an idea and throw it in there. So I mean, I can't speak highly enough about this tool as an agency myself. And so I was honored when I was asked to participate in this because we use this day in and day out with our clients. So fantastic.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much, both of you. It's a really insightful presentation and good to see that most people are ready to go. So we've got some interesting questions coming through. One of them is actually about your services at PickFu and at Mindful Goods. Are you both at the moment only available in America, especially given the market of your research panelists, or is it international yet?
Yeah, so our panelists are all American, but what we found is that brands in other countries, also benefit from testing within the American market. So, unless there's significant cultural differences, this research is still very helpful. So, you can certainly, still run polls, even if you're in other countries, but the respondent pool will be made up of Americans.
Okay,
great. On the Mindful Goods end, I would say most of our clients are US products selling on the US marketplace for Amazon. We have had some international clients, so it would just be a case-by-case basis.
Okay, that's great to know. And then a follow-up about this is whether both of your services are currently available only for Amazon listings, or can it be used to optimize other marketing creatives also?
Kim.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's so funny because a lot of sellers, they realize that you can use this for Amazon listings, and then they think that that's all you can use it for, and that's not the case at all. We have businesses of all stripes using us for all kinds of different things. And so you'll see if you go to PickFu just how flexible the platform is. So you input a question, and that can really be any question, right? What do you think of this commercial? What do you think of this radio ad? What do you think of this, XYZ, anything you want. And you can upload an image, you can upload a video, you can upload a link. I mean, it really is very flexible. So if you're selling on other platforms besides Amazon, let's say you've got a Shopify store, or you have your own website, or maybe you're not even selling yet, but you are developing a product, that is the perfect time to get some market research and some data just to make sure that you're going in the right direction. So absolutely, it is not Amazon only.
Yeah, we have clients that actually come to us that are not ready for us. We only do Amazon optimization on our end, but we have clients that come to us and they're getting ready to work with us. And they're asking if we can work with their branding team that's working on their packaging so that we can be running these tests simultaneously. Because when they're thinking about maybe store shelves, but they also need to be thinking at the same time about digital shelf. And so we can test both at the same time using a tool like PickFu very easily. So we've seen that. And the other thing that we've seen is not just using it for packaging, but actually using it for, let's say, selecting what ingredients might be going into a product. Or we have a project we're working on right now where we're trying to decide which designs to use for a product. And we actually crowdsource the designs from Instagram, drop them into PickFu, and let people choose which art they prefer for the product. So the sky is the limit with this, really.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. And that's actually flowing on to the next question, because most of the presentation was around content imagery. So we've had a question around what would your advice be for the best types of titles, bullet points, and descriptions with Amazon?
Oh my gosh, there's so much getting into that. That's a lot to unpack. If you go to Mindful Goods, I have a whole guide on my website that you can download for free. But that comes down to SEO research, formatting, and persuasive sales copy. So it's a lot to unpack in this conversation. That's a whole nother webinar.
Yeah, and I will say too, I mean, I come from a copywriting background, and you know, I think that my advice would just be to not go with your first draft. All good writing is rewriting. And so, you know, one approach is either to try a bunch of different approaches and then again, you know, kind of bring it to PickFu and just make sure that you're choosing the right one. Or another way to do that is to hire maybe 2 or 3 different writers, and have them each attack whatever it is that you are trying to sell, and then sort of see which of those approaches is resonating. And so those are all tips that I would offer as far as, you know, the written aspects.
If you're looking for specific tests for headlines and bullets, we have run those, and we have shared them on PickFu's YouTube channel. So if you're looking for more specific examples around those, you can check them out there.
Okay, no, that's perfect. Thanks. And yeah, we have had a few people asking how they can get in touch with you. So we now have that on screen there. We can see both of your email addresses for those asking. And of course, feel free to email me if you'd like to have any introductions either to Mindful Goods or PickFu. I think one interesting question would be, especially from those that have said this all looks really relevant and interesting, but they don't really know where to start. What would be your biggest advice for brands that are just starting to see their success, but it's been more so organic and they want to take it to the next level?
All right, I'll take this one to start. So what I usually recommend is understanding where you are in your funnel, where you are in terms of optimization for your Amazon business. So what I mean by that is really looking at 3 things. 1, have you optimized your SEO, and are you getting found on Amazon? Do you show up in search results for the search terms that you want to show up for? If you have that, then you move on to step number 2. Step number 2 is, great, I'm showing up in search results. Now, how can I make sure that more people are clicking my main image and going into my listing, which is where this test becomes very relevant. And number 3, once people are inside my listing, how am I making sure that I'm reducing all the barriers to buying and that people are clicking buy now? And all 3 of those can be tested with PickFu. So it's just about understanding where you are right now. And once you go through that cycle once, then you go through it again. It's a never-ending cycle. You can optimize over and over and over again. So that's how I would handle it.
Yeah, and I think that if you really aren't sure where to start, but you're already on Amazon, one test that I think that a lot of sellers have seen a lot of value from is you just take your link, your Amazon listing link, and you put it up to PickFu with 50 or 100 people, and you say, please review this listing and tell me what questions you have about the product. And what that helps you do is to identify what is not being communicated, what people are confused by, what they see as perhaps strange or out of place than what they expect. It's a really good way to just get ideas and get outside feedback, because I feel like, you know, as sellers, you look at your product and your listing so much, it's hard to be objective about it. And I think that when you are able to crowdsource some really quick opinions, it really helps to get you outside of your own head.
And sometimes you think you are communicating something really well, and you might realize from these tests that you're actually not. Like maybe you put it in the bullets and it needs to be reinforced throughout your images, you know, or maybe it's in the images but you didn't say it anywhere in the listing. So that's what we've noticed with these tests. Really, you're one data point. So once you get the 50 other people minimum weighing in on your listing, there's so much improvement that you can do.
Absolutely. And yeah, Kim, we've got a couple of questions about the PickFu service. One of them is it self-service? So can the brands come directly to you and work with you? And then the other part of the question is, what was the difference between polling and sessions, or was that interchangeable when you were discussing this during your presentation?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So PickFu is absolutely self-service. So you could sign up on PickFu and start a poll, and you will start to get answers to your poll immediately. It is fast. It is very intuitive and very easy. But if you would like a demo, just get in touch. I'm happy to provide a free demo. As far as polling and sessions go, we talked a little bit in the beginning about, there are ways to A/B test your live listing. And you want to be careful with that, especially if you have been, if you've had some success on Amazon and you've already got some traffic that you've established. PickFu operates completely outside of the Amazon marketplace, which is nice because it's sort of a safe environment to test. But what we have found is that the reactions that you get on PickFu and the reactions that you get in a live environment tend to reflect each other. And so, when we talk about, the things with polling, the image that Daniela developed, won the poll by, I think it was 60%. And then when she uploaded it to Amazon, the session rate on Amazon, so that's live Amazon data, increased by 11.8%. So, it just a single change like that can make a huge difference.
It's also important to know that that was an isolated change. And so a lot of you might not be able to isolate, let's say if you're running ads right now. So it's really hard to understand that data unless you're able to make an isolated change. In the case of YesBar, it was a really unique case study for us because they hadn't turned on their ads yet. We were making a sweeping change once we had conclusive data, but we made one change at that time only for 2 weeks. And then we let it run patiently. And that's how we were able to see the difference in sessions. So anything beyond that would only be measurable if you weren't making any other changes to the listing, which wasn't the case in this point.
Right. And I think, one of the reasons that main image is so important is when you think about that digital shelf, right? You think about your product against all those other products, that image is going to have a huge impact on your click-through rate. Mm-hmm. So the more that you can get that image right, the more people are going to click on it. So, I think in one of the slides just said better picks get more clicks. So just remember that better picks mm-hmm. get more clicks.
Yeah, absolutely, spot on. And then we've got time for just one quick last question. When it comes to the competitor analysis, we've had a comment as well that's really interesting to see how your products compare to your competitors. How does that work? Do they have to source those photos or those images, or is that something that you can help them with? I guess that question can go to both of you.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what it is you're trying to find. So yes, you would choose the competitors that you want to test against, and then you would choose, what assets that you wanna use. So for instance, if you were deciding on a product name, maybe you've got, your favorite or the name that you're thinking about developing, and then you put it up against a couple of other product names. Or maybe it is that main image and you see, which image is the most appealing, and then, let's say you don't win that poll, you can take the insights of what people did like about the winning image and incorporate it into your own. You can also do this with the listing URL. So let's say you just have a live Amazon listing and you want to put it up against another Amazon listing, and you say, if you were comparing these products, which one would you rather buy? Then you can get insights that way. So there's a lot of different ways that you can go with the competitive tests.
And I'll also add there, for that specific test, we do have a tutorial on how to do it on the YouTube channel as well.
Oh, that's really interesting. I think I'll probably share that on LinkedIn as well for everybody to learn more about it, because it's really interesting to hear all the different options of how to compare with your competitors, and also take away from the polls that they have may have won those results. That's definitely insightful. But yeah, that brings us to the end of our webinar today. We had lots of interesting questions coming through. So contact details are still there, and the recording will be available for all of you to listen back to and to share with any colleagues, and you'll get an email for that tomorrow. So thank you again, Daniela, and thank you, Kim, for your really insightful insights today. And thank you, everybody, for listening to today's webinar.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot. So I hope everybody stays well and stays safe.